Here's something that should make you stop scrolling right now. You earn $100,000 a year. That's the number millions of people dream about. The magic number, the I made it number. But here's the truth. In 2026, that $100,000 salary, it buys you almost exactly what $40,000 bought someone 20 years ago. Think about that. The same number, the same commas, but a completely different life. And the scariest part? Most people have no idea this is happening to them. Let me show you the math. Okay, so let's start simple. Imagine you have a $100 bill. You put it in a box, you seal the box. You come back 5 years later. You open it. The bill still says $100. Nothing changed, right? Wrong. That $100 can now only buy you what $75 or $80 bought before. The number didn't change, but the power behind it, gone. Silently stolen. This is called inflation, and it has been working against you every single day. Now let's take that idea and zoom out to your salary. Economists always distinguish between what's called a nominal value, the face value number, the dollars on your paycheck, and the real value, which is what those dollars can actually buy you. And here's where it gets painful. According to salary inflation data, $100,000 in 2020 has the purchasing power of roughly $75,000 to $80,000 in 2026 dollars, due to cumulative inflation over that period. So if you are making $100,000 in 2020 and you're still making $100,000 today, you are effectively earning about $25,000 less than you were. You didn't get a pay cut, you didn't do anything wrong, but the money in your pocket, quietly shrinking. And if we zoom even further back to 2006, the math gets truly wild. A dollar in 2000 has the same buying power as about $1.87 in 2026. In other words, you would need $187 today to buy what $100 could purchase in 2000. So the $40,000 number I mentioned at the start, that's not an exaggeration. A $40,000 salary in 2000 had roughly the same real-world buying power as $75,000 today, and we're creeping toward $100,000. Here's what most people don't understand about inflation. It doesn't attack everything equally. Some things get hit way harder than others. And the things that got hit the hardest are exactly the things you cannot avoid. Let's talk about housing first. From 2020 to 2026, average rent prices in the US increased at an average annual growth rate of 5.62%. Rents across major US cities have surged 36% since 2020. Some cities have seen rent increases of more than 50%. Miami? Prices soared 53% since 2020, coinciding with a pandemic-era migration wave that added roughly 250,000 residents to the region. The average monthly rent in the U.S. is now $1,995 as of early 2026. Think about that. Nearly $2,000 a month. For average, that means half the country pays more than that. And if you're trying to buy a home, in November 2025, an American household needed an annual income of $166,600 to purchase a median-priced home, but the average household income is $59,384. Homeownership on a $100,000 salary, in many cities, still out of reach. Now let's talk about food. The price of food at home, groceries you buy at the supermarket, climbed 29.4% between March 2020 and December 2025. These higher food costs have pushed the average monthly household grocery budget to nearly $700. That's almost $700 just for groceries per month for one household. And here's a number that might shock you. Beef roasts are up 73.8%. Beef steaks are up 57%. Ground beef is up 52.5% since the pandemic began. You didn't choose to pay more, you just started paying more every single week. And it gets worse. Healthcare prices increased by 3.1% in just the 12 months ending March 2026. Car insurance in many states has gone up over 50% since 2020. Energy bills have jumped. Natural gas prices rose 10.9% in just the past year alone. Every single category you need to survive is charging you more. and they're all charging you at the same time. So now let's do the actual math on that $100,000 salary. After federal and state taxes, a $100,000 earner in most U.S. states takes home somewhere between $68,000 and $72,000. Let's say $72,000. That's $6,000 a month. Sounds decent, right? Here's what that $6,000 looks like in 2026. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment? That's $1,995 right off the top, national average. In cities like New York, LA, Miami, San Francisco, double that or more. Groceries for one person? About $700 a month, per the USDA. Health insurance? If your employer doesn't fully cover it, you're looking at $400 to $600 a month for a decent plan. Car insurance? The national average has exploded. Depending on your state, add another $150 to $250. Utilities, electric, gas, internet, another $200 or more. That's roughly $3,700 to $4,000 gone before you buy a single coffee, before you pay off any student loans, before you save a single cent. You've got $2,000 left, maybe, and that has to cover everything else. Here's where it gets really interesting, and maybe a little infuriating, because here's what most people think. Okay, but wages go up too, right? My salary grows to match inflation. Does it though? Many professionals mistake nominal salary increases for real growth. If you earned $60,000 in 2020 and now make $70,000 in 2026, you haven't received a true 16.7% raise. After adjusting for cumulative inflation of about 21.7%, your real purchasing power actually decreased by 4.7%. Read that again. You got a raise. You earned more money on paper, and you still got poorer in real life. From 2001 to 2024, renter incomes rose by just 9% in real terms, while rents rose by 30%. From 2000 to 2020, median rents rose faster than median household income in 88% of U.S. counties, home to 97% of the U.S. population, 0.97%. That's not a niche problem. That's basically everyone. Now, here's the twist that almost nobody talks about. You've probably heard that inflation is coming down, and technically that's true. The annual U.S. inflation rate was 2.4% for the 12 months ending February 2026, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Great news, right? Wrong, and here's why. Inflation coming down does not mean prices are coming down. It just means prices are rising more slowly. The rent that went up 36% since 2020, it didn't come back down. It's still up 36%. The groceries that jumped 29%, still 29% higher. The car insurance that doubled in some states, still doubled. Think of it this way. Inflation is described as a silent tax. Unlike income tax, which you see deducted from every paycheck, inflation quietly reduces what your money can buy, year by year, dollar by dollar. The damage is already done, and now it's just growing on top of the damage. Here's another thing they don't put in the headlines. Using the rule of 70, divide 70 by the annual inflation rate. At 3% inflation, prices double in approximately 23 years. At 5% inflation, prices double in approximately 14 years. If you're 30 years old right now and you live to 80, the prices you see today could double twice during your lifetime. Okay, here is the real truth, the big reveal. There are two games being played at the same time, and most people only know about one of them. Game one is the nominal game. That's the one you can see, your salary number, your bank balance, the price on the shelf. These are the numbers companies advertise, the numbers politicians argue about. Game two is the real game. That's the one playing invisibly, what your money can actually do, what a life actually costs. And this game, almost nobody is keeping score for you. Here's what the real score looks like in 2026. Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies found that 12.1 million renters, that's 26% of all renters, spend more than half their income on rent and utilities alone. Half gone, before food, before medicine, before anything. The average number of years it takes a household to save for a home down payment in the U.S. is now 14.4 years. And in expensive states like California, that number stretches past 25 years. The median age of a first time homebuyer in America has hit a record high of 38 years old. A $100,000 salary used to mean stability, a house, maybe a vacation, some savings. In 2026, in many cities, it means you're getting by, carefully. You're not struggling, but you're also not building anything. The treadmill is moving faster than your legs. And the cruelest part? The government's official inflation numbers, the ones they use to decide if you need a raise, often undercount what middle class people actually feel. Because they average in things like electronics, which get cheaper. But electronics don't pay your rent. Electronics don't feed your family. The real inflation for the real American life, housing, food, health, transportation, has been running far hotter than the headline number. So, what do you do with this? First, stop comparing your salary to the raw number. Start asking, what can this money actually buy? That's the real question. And if your salary isn't keeping up with the true cost of your life, it's not a raise, it's a pay cut with better branding. Second, understand that this is not a personal failure. This is a structural shift. Millions of people across the country are experiencing the exact same thing right now. The math has changed, the rules of the game changed, and very few people are talking about it honestly. Third, use this knowledge. When negotiating your salary, use CPI data to make your case. If inflation ran 3% last year and your raise was 2%, you are taking a pay cut in real terms. You have the data to prove it. Your employer knows this math. They're just hoping you don't. The $100,000 salary is still a lot of money, but it is not what it was. And pretending it is, just because the number looks the same, is how you quietly fall behind while feeling like you're standing still. Now you know the truth. What you do with it is up to you. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see the real math. And drop in the comments, what category have you personally seen the biggest price jump in? I read every single one.